Chapter 7. My Wife's Affair. The storm had a name. Jason Vretos, director of the first pathology department at the hospital where my wife worked. An interesting man. I had met him once, during a group outing. Back then, there was nothing between them. That same night, Marina had commented, "An excellent scientist and a charming man." I had agreed. Nothing had made me suspect a third person in our relationship. My wife's behavior toward me remained the same. So did the time we both dedicated to our family, even though we were both working. The only thing that crossed my mind was that perhaps someone had entered our lives without me realizing it. But I dismissed it. I believed that the exhaustion she mentioned was simply due to work pressure.
Our relationship had begun to demand more. Living with Nina on one side and Marina's pregnancy on the other had pushed things to their limits. We were both overwhelmed. Of course, Vretos wasn't yet part of our lives. I didn't question her feelings. I showed understanding, convinced that after the child was born, everything would settle.
But it didn't. And I couldn't accept that our relationship was falling apart. I never imagined that my wife would betray me. I wanted her, as a woman. I need to emphasize that. She avoided me, and what troubled me was that every time I tried to get close to her, she always found some logical excuse to push me away.
Not even once, not even as a joke, did I ever tell her, "Be careful, because one day when you want me, I might not want you anymore." "What do you mean?" she asked. "Are you threatening me?" And just like that, the conversation ended.
On the other hand, for nothing in the world did I want to destroy Diana's life, a life that had already begun to take shape in her adolescence. Knowing my child's character, I was certain that a possible divorce would affect her deeply. So I remained silent, submissive to Marina's demands for the sake of our daughter. Until the day came when she herself confessed the existence of a third person in our lives. Without any warning, without even a simple argument between us. We were sitting calmly in the living room. It seemed that Marina had been waiting for the right moment to tell me. Besides, since Vretos was also married, the longer their relationship remained hidden, the better for them. Word had already spread throughout the hospital. They say the one involved is always the last to find out. The truth is, when she decided that the right moment had come for all of us, she spoke with disarming honesty. "Pavlos, because I have always been and will always be honest with you, I feel it is my obligation to confess certain truths. That's why I'm doing this." That was Marina, calm and determined. I listened, speechless. As a couple, you can clearly see that we have failed. Whether you react or not, there is another man in my life. I didn't want this to happen, but it did. His name, Jason Vretos.
"He is also married," she continued, with the same calm tone. "For now, things will remain as they are. You can ask for a divorce if you want, but realistically, we will continue living together, at least until Artemis finishes school. After that, we will see how we handle the situation. Besides, our daughter is mature enough to understand." Marina had this conversation with me for two reasons.
First, because she is honest and stubborn, something I respected even now. Second, she knew exactly how I would react. She had always been one step ahead. I believe she had carefully calculated the consequences of her actions, but she wasn't entirely right. I will first speak about the result of that conversation. I loved Diana more than ever. I almost became attached to her. I spent all my free time with her. Some nights, more often than I used to, I would spend them with Eris, who wouldn't stop telling me that I had to react, to do something in order to win my wife back.
I assured him that I would do whatever I could. The truth is, I was passively watching the downward course my relationship with Marina was taking. As far as I was concerned, that marriage was already over.
I didn't react. I didn't do anything to win my wife back. I assured her that I would do whatever it took for our child. Why did I react this way? First, because I was emotionally dependent on my child. And second, because, as I've already said, I was afraid to put her mental health at risk at such a difficult age. She was still in high school.
I believe no man on this planet would have acted differently. I heard those words leave my wife's lips so calmly. I listened and I accepted them. How foolish I must have been. Today, I have no contact with Nina. It was inevitable. She stopped coming to the house, just like before. Thankfully, so she wouldn't have to face the situation. I believe she found out about what had happened. She had endured enough already.
For reasons I don't know, she chose to live alone in her apartment in Halandri. She had a woman who kept her company. Nina had lost her role in the house. Her presence no longer mattered. No one even sought her opinion anymore. The visits had simply stopped. Only when she saw Biana did she show any real interest. She had entered the final stage of her life almost alone. I had forgiven her for everything. I knew she had destroyed a big part of her life. She watched silently the flow of everything passing her by. I saw her one last time shortly before she had a stroke. That day, she cried silently. She looked at Diana, not at Marina. She didn't speak. She didn't react. I didn't want to force anything. What was I waiting for? To see my wife cry over Nina? Then I realized something. Marina had almost no reaction. I devoted myself to Diana. The child had begun preparing for medical school. Her final year in high school was a difficult one. I believed I had to be there for her, to support her. Marina was constantly busy with her work. Very often, my daughter would ask me why we didn't go out anymore, like we used to. She had many questions. I tried to explain that her mother's work had increased and that we simply couldn't live the same way anymore. She understood, or at least she tried to. I told her that becoming a doctor, the path she wanted to follow, came with great responsibility. To become a doctor, you have to be completely devoted to what you do. I am, she would reply, smiling.
She would kiss me sometimes when she returned home, tired but happy. We talked about everything. She trusted me. She opened her heart to me. She told me almost everything honestly. Her worries, her thoughts, even things she kept from her mother. We would sit together at the kitchen table. She would speak and I would listen. I believed that I had become both her father and her mother, her friend, her advisor, her mentor. I never blamed her. I didn't even think to blame Marina. The only thing I wanted was to see that spark in Diana's eyes.
She reminded me of myself. Sensitive, romantic. I loved her, and she knew it. Diana, besides being a good student, was also very popular. When she went out on weekends with her friends, my mind would wander. At night, I would find myself asking the same questions. Where is she? Who is she with? What time will she be back? Just like my mother had once done with me. History was repeating itself. I tried to show understanding, to trust her, but I couldn't always stop that flood of questions, the ones you ask when your child is almost grown. Because no matter what, I was still her father, and I needed to know who she was with. Nothing more. Times had changed, but my feelings, unfortunately, had remained the same. "Don't you trust me, Dad?" she would ask, smiling. "Of course I trust you,"
I would reply. But my insecurity is still there. That was the age of exams, anxiety, pressure. She never showed it, not even when she was accepted into the medical school of Thessaloniki. She had made it. Dad, she told me, when I get my own place, I'll decorate it exactly the way I want. I feel twice the joy. Marina and I shared her happiness. Our daughter was moving forward, spreading her wings. It was only natural. She had achieved everything she wanted. I, on the other hand, when I saw her passing her exams, her success, felt a deep satisfaction.
Of course, I had always thought that I would have her close to me, that we would talk, share problems. But unconsciously, I knew that children don't belong to us. They are independent, and sooner or later, that moment arrives. Their leaving is part of the journey. And so, the three of us, Diana, Marina, and I, began our new life in Thessaloniki, a strange city. Once I had dreamed of living in Athens, but now everything was changing. Through Marina's connections, we found a beautiful apartment in Kalamaria. That's where she would spend some of the most important years of her life. She would describe everything to me in detail. Her university, her professors, her new friends, their hangouts, even her flirting. "Dad," she once told me, "is it possible for time to freeze?" "Unfortunately, my love," I replied, "many people have wished for that." I would call her 2 or 3 times a day. At some point, it became obvious. Marina would mock me. "You're on the phone again," she would say. During those 2 times a month when I visited Diana, I would see her happy, and I would feel happy with her. I, on the other hand, felt lonely and miserable, but I kept that hidden from everyone. The only reason for my existence was far away from me, selfish as that may sound. I always tried to appear happy in front of Diana. After all, as I've said before, the first thing in my life, and always will be, is my child's happiness. Living with Marina, which had now been reduced to simple coexistence, was burdensome. We stayed together only because I didn't want to disturb our daughter's peace. The years passed quickly. Diana finished her studies. She received her degree, a graduate of medicine, and I felt like the proudest father in the world. I will never forget the day of her graduation in the great auditorium of the Aristotle University. We sat with her mother in the front rows. Her friends, her fellow students, everyone was there, laughing, celebrating, congratulating the new doctors. Voices and laughter filled the room. Most of them were holding flowers. We had brought her a huge bouquet of red roses, her favorite. The flash of the cameras captured those moments, moments of happiness. Photographs, countless photographs that would remain forever in albums and in the memories of everyone who was there. During the ceremony, I watched Marina standing beside me. Her eyes had filled with tears when she heard the rector's speech, especially during the oath. All the children, together, raised their right hands and swore. They were the future, a new generation that had just completed its journey into knowledge, a generation full of dreams. They believed in the future. They believed, but they didn't yet know the difficulties that lay ahead. Those children were stepping into a new chapter of life, with the confidence of victory. They carried within them both the sweet innocence and the maturity of youth. A moment where every young person faces the unknown, that difficult question life always holds. After the ceremony, we went outside to take photos. Diana stood between us, holding the bouquet of roses in one hand and her diploma in the other. She hugged us. She kissed us. She was glowing with happiness. Tears filled my eyes, mine and Marina's. 2 different tears, mine full of emotion, and hers something colder. The ice mountain Marina had finally broken. Our daughter
was now a doctor. What more could I have asked for on that hot July day? 17th of the month, almost 40 degrees. I took the two women of my life and we went to Remvi, a well-known restaurant in Thessaloniki. I wanted to thank them, both of them. My daughter, who gave me such joy, and Marina, who gave me Diana.
I consider that day the most important day of everything I have lived so far. A few days later, Diana announced her decision. I'm going to America. I'll continue there. I've found the right university for my specialization. I didn't want it. Her words carried Marina's certainty. Her decision was final. I had accepted the blow, but inside me, I resisted. What could I say? Life continues. She had apparently discussed everything earlier with her mother, but I was hearing it all for the first time. And of course, I didn't react, as usual. America, as it had once happened with Daphne, was once again entering my life. If you want it that much, my child, then go. I don't care which city you've decided to move to. To me, every city in America is equally far away, since I won't have you close to me. Don't be sad, Dad. I know you always wanted the best for me. It's necessary now, Diana said, and I felt a burning pain in my stomach. Diana had decided, and I accepted it with a heavy heart. After all, children don't belong to us. That was something I had to not only say, but truly understand. Artemis must leave, Marina said. Everything has been arranged, and just like that, the decision was made. Minnie lifted her head from the laptop she had been typing on and looked at me. For a moment, I thought she wanted to ask me something, but she didn't. Are you tired? I asked. No. Let's continue. When my daughter left for America, it felt as if the image of the whole world faded in front of me. I don't want to talk about that day at the airport, but I keep it alive in my memory. She and Marina were leaving together. It was Thursday. A week later, when Marina returned, she told me through everything that she intended to leave me. She had already found another house with her lover. Now that the child has left, there's no reason for us to stay together. I'm moving out. She said it simply. As simply as that. My sadness from Diana's departure was so overwhelming that Marina's move almost felt like a relief. Quietly, my wife left the house, without a single objection from me. I even helped her almost silently pack her things. We're starting the divorce process, she said, as she walked down the stairs. Strange scenarios life creates, I thought. I watched her leave as if it wasn't me living this, but someone else. What will we tell the child? I finally dared to ask. Leave it to me. I'll explain everything. She knows how things are, and she'll understand. You should know, Artemis already knows everything about us. She was right. I had been willfully blind. If anyone, especially someone as perceptive as our daughter, could have not understood what was happening between me and her mother. She said that and got into her car. That's when I realized that for me, the chapter called Marina had already ended. Her departure had happened long ago, back when the three of us still lived together in Halandri. Her, Nina, and me. I watched her drift away, calmly, no movement, and no reaction. I had shaped such a state of mind that no psychologist in the world could have untangled it. Everything inside me was confused. 2 departures in such a short time. It was too much. And yet, I don't know why, but I felt what we call free. On one hand, I consciously felt sad and confused. And on the other, I felt overwhelmed at the same time by a strange sense of happiness, joy, and freedom. It was finally true. I could make a fresh start. And with every passing second, I realized it more and more.